Terror, mass murder, genocide, slavery. In its brief and bloody life, the so-called Islamic State carried out atrocities that stretched around the globe. Its victims, Muslims and non-Muslims alike. From Syria and Iraq to attacks it either masterminded or inspired in France, Belgium, Tunisia, Turkey, Egypt, Britain, the United States, and elsewhere, it left a trail of death and destruction in its wake. What made ISIS unique was its maniacal penchant for publicity. In murder, there was no shame. Its unrestrained brutality, a weapon to terrify its foes and attract followers from near and far. It boasted its barbarity with high production value videos, the beheadings of American journalist James Foley and others, the burning alive in a cage of Jordanian Air Force pilot Muaz al-Kasasbi, the murder of more than 1,000 Iraqi soldiers in the Spiker camp outside Tikrit. It took equally perverse pleasure and pride in the wanton destruction of archaeological treasures and religious shrines. Its persecution of minorities who fell under its sway, Yazidis, Christians, and others, knew no bounds. Anyone or anything that didn't conform with its twisted vision was killed, destroyed, obliterated. And at the head of this monstrosity was Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, who declared himself Khalifa, or Caliph, in July 2014. At its peak, ISIS controlled an area the size of Britain, stretching from Syria to the outskirts of Baghdad, with 10 million people under its rule. Its ambitions boundless. Baghdadi promised his followers, "You will conquer Rome and own the world." It was, however, not to be. Within 3 years, ISIS was driven from Mosul and its de facto capital, Raqqa. The war against the group left both cities in ruins, killed thousands of civilians, and drove millions from their homes. ISIS as a territorial entity in Iraq and Syria no longer exists, but as an idea, the Islamic State is far from vanquished. Among those who surrendered, we heard vows that ISIS would someday return with a vengeance. Many of the men and the women and children still carry with them ISIS's poisonous ideology, now tinged with bitter resentment for their final, humiliating surrender. Beyond this small corner of eastern Syria, groups pledging allegiance to ISIS still controlled territory in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, Libya, Nigeria, Afghanistan, the Philippines, and elsewhere. And its message still drives so-called lone wolves to carry out terror attacks. The Caliphate, the so-called Islamic State as a haven for madmen and murderers, is no more. For now. Ben Wiedemann, CNN, Eastern Syria.